The distant stars burned like cold fires in the endless black sky. From the bridge of the human battleship Aurora, Captain Leora Kane stared at the blinking lights on the control panel, her heart pounding. Humanity had grown bold, spreading into the stars, claiming planets and systems. But out here, in the uncharted regions beyond the Orion Belt, they had made an enemy unlike any they had faced before. It started with the signals. Strange, encrypted transmissions that no human codebreaker could understand. At first, the Council had dismissed them as interference, a natural cosmic anomaly. But when entire colonies vanished without a trace, when ships sent to investigate returned only as floating, silent wrecks, the reality became terrifyingly clear. Someone, or something, was watching, calculating, waiting. "Captain, sensors are picking up movement ahead," Lieutenant Ryan said, his voice tight. He was young, barely 25, but sharp. He had joined the fleet with dreams of glory, never imagining the darkness that lurked between the stars. Leora's eyes narrowed. Distance. Too far to identify. "But it's big, enormous," he said. The ship's instruments could not measure the exact size, but the energy signatures were off the charts. It wasn't just a ship. It was something alive, something massive. A shiver ran down Leora's spine. The stories had been whispered for decades, legends of the apex predators, ancient beings of intelligence and power that roamed the galaxy, far older than humans, far stronger than any fleet. No civilization had survived a direct encounter. Until now, humans had never faced them, and many believed they never would. "Alert the crew," Leora ordered, her voice steady even as fear tightened her chest. "Full battle stations. Prepare for the worst." In the hangar, pilots scrambled into their cockpits, engines humming with nervous energy. The Aurora's crew was skilled, trained for years for combat in the void, but training was never the same as facing a predator that could think, adapt, and destroy without hesitation. Minutes passed, each one stretching like hours. On the view screen, a shadow moved, enormous and fluid, like smoke with edges of steel. It was alive. It was aware. Ryan swallowed hard. "Captain, it's circling us." Leora clenched her fists on the console. "Hold steady. Don't fire unless fired upon. Let's see what they want." The ship's sensors suddenly flickered. The apex predator was no longer just moving, it was warping space itself. Time and distance bent around it, and the humans' instruments screamed in protest. Alarms blared, warning lights flashing in chaotic rhythm. The crew panicked, but Leora stayed calm. She had trained for crisis, and this was the ultimate test. "Everyone, focus. Follow Protocol Delta. Shield power to maximum. We are not giving them a chance to strike first." The shadow shifted closer, and suddenly a voice echoed in the ship's communication system. Not human, not mechanical. It was a deep, resonant voice that vibrated in the chest, impossible to ignore. "You dare enter our space?" Leora's heart skipped. She glanced at her crew. Their faces were pale, eyes wide with fear. She swallowed her own terror and replied, steady and clear. "We are explorers. We seek no conflict. We come in peace." The response was a low, rumbling laugh that shook the hull. Peace is a word for the weak. Humanity chooses to fight, and yet, you do not understand the predators of the stars. Ryan's hands trembled over the console. They know us. They know what we did to colonize, to expand. Leora's mind raced. Humanity had never thought beyond its own survival. They had conquered systems, forced alliances, fought off smaller alien races. But this was different. The apex predators did not negotiate, did not tolerate. They hunted. And humans were not prey to them yet. They were a challenge, a threat, a puzzle to solve. Suddenly, the space around the Aurora shimmered. The stars warped and twisted, as if reality itself bent to the predator's will. The ship's gravity fluctuated violently, throwing crew members off their feet. Consoles sparked. Alarms shrieked. Leora gritted her teeth. "Report." multiple hull breaches. Shields dropping at 20%. Ryan shouted. We can't hold them much longer. And then, without warning, the shadow attacked. Tentacle-like appendages of energy, glowing faintly blue, struck the hull, tearing through armor as easily as paper. Explosions rocked the ship, and the view screen filled with chaos. Leora held on to the console, her mind racing. Retreat. Fight. Every option seemed like death. But a voice inside her, a stubborn, human voice, refused to accept surrender. We survive, she whispered. We always survive. She punched the comm, activating the ship's weapons. Fire everything. Make them regret underestimating humanity. The Aurora trembled as plasma cannons erupted, lighting the void with fiery streaks. The apex predator dodged with terrifying speed, laughing as if the humans were ants playing with fire. But the crew fought back with courage born of desperation, striking, dodging, adapting, learning. The battle had begun, and in the cold emptiness of space, humanity faced its first true predators. The apex predators tested them, pushing them to the edge of annihilation. Yet, somewhere deep inside, Leora knew the humans had something the predators could never understand. Resilience, will, and the unyielding spark of defiance. The Aurora shuddered violently as the apex predator's energy tendrils lashed against its hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and crew members struggled to stay on their feet. Leora Kane gritted her teeth, holding onto the console as she fought the urge to panic. Every system was pushed to its limit, but the human spirit never wavered. Shields at 40%. We can't hold them for long. Lieutenant Ryan shouted, his voice breaking. Leora didn't answer immediately. Her eyes scanned the chaos, looking for any sign of weakness in the predator. There was a pause, just a fraction of a second, and she saw it, a faint ripple in the energy around its form. There, she barked. Fire concentrated plasma. Aim for the ripple. The ship's cannons roared, streaks of deadly blue fire tearing through the void. The predator screamed, a sound that made every human on the bridge shiver, but it didn't retreat. Instead, it moved faster, circling the ship, testing them. The communication system crackled again. The predator's voice was like a mountain shaking in space. Clever, but fleeting. You amuse me, humans. Yet, amusement is short-lived. Ryan's hands flew over the controls. Captain, they're analyzing us. Every move we make, they adapt. Leora's jaw tightened. Humans were fighters, not prey. They adapted, they learned, they survived. And if they had to, they would push back. Everyone, Leora said, her voice firm. We are not dying here. We are fighting. Every shield, every cannon, every sensor. Use them all. They think we are weak. Let's prove them wrong. In the hangar, pilots gritted their teeth as their ships launched. Small, agile fighters darted around the predator, firing missiles and energy blasts. The creature's tendrils snapped and swirled, deflecting many attacks, but it could not hit them all. The humans had speed, numbers, and unpredictability. Even as their weapons hit, the predator didn't falter. Its laugh echoed through the Aurora, shaking the hull. Persistent, futile. Yet, interesting. Somewhere deep in the ship, Ryan realized the truth. Captain, they're learning from us. Every attack, every maneuver, they're copying it, evolving instantly. This isn't just a fight, it's a test. Leora nodded grimly. Then we give them a lesson. Humanity does not surrender to tests. Humanity survives. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed. Time became meaningless as the battle raged on. The Aurora weaved through the void, dodging tendrils, firing plasma, and taking hits. Explosions lit the darkness like cruel fireworks. Yet through it all, humans fought with a single, unstoppable determination. Then, in the midst of chaos, a new signal appeared. Faint, almost undetectable, buried under the predator's energy field. A distress call? Or a trap? Leora's heart raced as she ordered. Patch it through. A holographic image flickered on the bridge. Another human ship, smaller, battered, and desperate, appeared. Aurora, help, they took everything. The apex. The transmission cut off mid-sentence, replaced by static. Leora's fists clenched. The Predator had been hunting human colonies for years, wiping out entire systems, and now it had drawn them into a trap. But the humans were not helpless. They were learning, adapting, surviving. "Ryan," she said, her voice cold with determination. "We save them. And we show this Predator that humanity is not prey. Not ever." The Aurora changed course, engines screaming, hurtling toward the source of the distress signal. The Predator noticed immediately. Its tendrils lashed out, aiming to crush them before they could reach the stranded crew. But humans were stubborn. They were fighters. And as the Aurora raced forward, they unleashed a series of maneuvers so unpredictable that even the apex Predator struggled to keep up. Plasma cannons fired in sharp bursts, fighters swarmed from every angle, and the ship's shields absorbed hits that would have destroyed lesser vessels. The battle was not just physical. It was mental. Leora's crew realized that the Predator's strength was its intelligence, its ability to anticipate. But humans had something more. Creativity. Fear forced them to think differently, to act in ways the Predator could not predict. A crackling explosion shook the bridge. One of the fighters had been torn apart. Another screamed past the view screen, narrowly escaping a tendril. The Predator's voice boomed, furious now. "You defy me. But for how long?" Leora's eyes burned with determination. "As long as we breathe, we fight. That is what makes us human." And then, at that exact moment, a plan formed in her mind. A daring, risky maneuver that could either save them, or destroy the Aurora. She glanced at Ryan, who nodded. He trusted her, as did every soul on board. "Prepare for the impossible," she said. "We're going to show them the heart of humanity." The stars seemed to hold their breath. The battle was far from over, but humans had already begun to turn the tide. The apex Predator, ancient and powerful, had never faced such defiance. And for the first time, it paused. Just a fraction of a second. It was all the humans needed. The Aurora surged through the void, engines screaming as it closed in on the source of the distress signal. The distant wrecked ship flickered like a dying star, half broken, drifting aimlessly. Leora Kane's eyes never left the view screen, her mind calculating, anticipating, always one step ahead. "Ryan," she said, voice calm but sharp. "Ready the decoy pods. Fire them on my mark. We're not just fighting, we're going to trick it." Ryan's hands flew across the console. "Captain, it's risky. The Predator adapts faster than anything we've ever seen." Leora smiled grimly. "Good. Then it won't see this coming." The Aurora dropped out of stealth, drawing the apex Predator's attention immediately. The massive shadow loomed closer, tendrils of energy slicing through the vacuum of space, ready to crush the humans at a moment's notice. Its laughter rolled across the bridge, deep and menacing. "You persist. Fascinating. You will break. Eventually." Leora clenched her fists. "No, it's time they learn something. Humanity doesn't break." The decoy pods launched, streaking ahead like blazing comets. Each emitted energy signatures mimicking the Aurora's own, a perfect lure to distract the Predator. The massive being hesitated. Its appendages flicked toward the pods, analyzing, calculating. "Now!" Leora shouted. The ship veered sharply, weaving through the Predator's strikes, dodging destruction by inches. Plasma cannons fired in concentrated bursts at weak points revealed by the Predator's momentary distraction. The hull shuddered but held. Crew members gritted their teeth, following Leora's commands with perfect precision. In the distance, the stranded ship's crew watched in awe. Their hope had almost died, but now, rescue was within reach. The Aurora moved with purpose, cutting through the void, a spear of defiance aimed at the heart of fear itself. The Predator roared, furious at being deceived. Its massive form twisted, energy tendrils lashing out toward the decoy pods. One after another exploded in controlled bursts, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The Aurora used the openings to close in, shielded by the chaos it had created. "Hold steady," Leora said. "We're going in for extraction." Fighters swarmed ahead, covering the stranded ship. Humans inside the wrecked vessel scrambled to safety, aided by the disciplined pilots. Every second counted, and the apex predator realized it was losing control of the battle. "You cannot outsmart me," the predator's voice thundered. "I am eternal." Leora ignored it. She focused on what humans always did best: ingenuity. Every maneuver, every shot, every calculated risk was part of a bigger plan. The Aurora moved in a sharp spiral, forcing the predator to follow. Its massive shadow now entangled itself in a web of human tactics, slower to respond, forced to fight unpredictably. Suddenly, the Aurora's bridge shuddered violently. The predator's appendages smashed against the hull, tearing through outer armor. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and debris tumbled through zero gravity. Crew members held on tight, struggling to keep control of critical systems. "Shields at 20%. Ryan shouted. "We can't hold it much longer." Leora's eyes burned. "Then we make every hit count. Fire concentrated energy at the core of its mass. Aim for the glowing segments, it's the source of its adaptive power." Plasma cannons fired, beams of brilliant light slicing through darkness. The predator screamed, twisting violently as energy strikes pierced its form. The crew watched in awe and fear. The ancient being, so powerful, so invincible, faltered under the raw determination of humans who refused to die. "Almost there," Leora whispered, heart pounding. She glanced at her crew. "We finish this now. For every colony, every ship, every life they've destroyed." With precise coordination, the fighters launched another series of attacks. Explosions rippled through the predator's form. It recoiled, stunned, unable to predict the human's next moves. In that instant, the Aurora moved in close, hooks and energy harpoons latching onto its appendages. The predator struggled, its immense strength unable to free itself immediately. Leora's voice rang across the bridge, firm and commanding. "Release the boarding pod. We're ending this." A small crew, elite soldiers trained for the impossible, boarded the predator's massive form, navigating the alien surface. Energy pulses and strange, shifting architecture surrounded them, but their goal was clear: disrupt the predator's core intelligence and force it to retreat. Inside, chaos and alien power collided with human courage. Explosions rocked the interior as soldiers moved with precision, planting charges, severing energy conduits. Each moment was life or death, but the humans pressed forward, relentless. On the Aurora, Leora watched the predator struggle. It roared in anger, lashing violently, but slowly, inch by inch, it began to retreat. Humans had faced the impossible, and for the first time, the apex predator knew it had met a race it could not easily crush. "Pull back, everyone," Leora ordered. "Mission complete. Bring the survivors home." The Aurora retreated with the rescued crew in tow. The predator lingered at the edge of the void, massive and furious, but it did not pursue. Humanity had survived. It had adapted. It had fought against the apex of galactic predators, and survived. As the stars stretched endlessly around them, Leora Kane allowed herself a small, exhausted smile. The battle was won, but the war of survival in the universe had just begun. And humanity, she knew, would always rise to meet it. The Aurora floated through the darkness, its engines humming a steady rhythm. The rescued crew huddled in the lower decks, exhausted, terrified, but alive. Leora Kane stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the stars. The battle was over, for now, but the galaxy had changed forever. "Status report," she said, voice calm but firm. Ryan's fingers danced over the console. "Shields are stable. Hull damage is extensive, but manageable. We brought all survivors aboard. No one lost, at least physically." Leora nodded. "Good. But we can't celebrate yet. The predator, it didn't retreat because it was defeated. It retreated because it knows we're dangerous now. And it will come back. The crew shifted uneasily. Humans were not used to fighting beings beyond imagination, beings that seemed immortal and unstoppable. Yet they had survived. And survival had given them a dangerous gift: confidence. In the distant void, the apex predator watched. Its massive form drifted near a pulsar, casting long, twisting shadows across the wrecked debris of human colonies. Its glowing segments pulsed irregularly, a sign of irritation, or maybe calculation. They are different, the voice echoed through the predator's mind, vibrating like a storm. Adaptive, clever, unbroken. We must observe further, study them, test them again. Back on the Aurora, Leora convened her officers in the strategy room. The air was tense, every face showing a mixture of awe, fear, and determination. We survived because we acted quickly, because we used strategy and instinct, Leora said. But we cannot rely on luck again. The apex predators are out there. And if they decide to strike, it won't just be one ship. It could be entire colonies. Entire systems. Lieutenant Ryan spoke up, hesitant but honest. Captain, if they come back, they'll know us. They'll anticipate our moves faster than before. Leora's eyes narrowed. Then we adapt faster. That's what humans do. Every time we face the impossible, we rise. Every time we are pushed to the edge, we find a way. And that's what we'll do again. In the hangar, engineers worked tirelessly, repairing the fighters, patching hulls, and reinforcing shields. Every crew member knew that the battle had revealed a truth: the galaxy was not theirs alone. Predators lurked, ancient and intelligent, and humans were no longer just explorers. They were hunters, strategists, and survivors. Meanwhile, the rescued crew shared their stories. They had witnessed the predator's strength up close, felt its power crush entire sections of their ship, and yet, despite fear, they had survived. Their courage, combined with the Aurora's crew, had turned the tide. Leora listened, taking mental notes. Every lesson learned could mean life or death in the future. A sudden alert blinked on the console. "Captain, unidentified signal," Ryan said. "It's weak, fragmented, but it's from near the Orion belt." Leora leaned forward. Could it be another predator? Impossible to tell, Ryan admitted. It's smaller, but it's moving intelligently. It's studying us. Leora's lips pressed together. Humans had survived one encounter, but the galaxy was vast. There were many predators, many threats. Some might be worse, some might be curious, some might be hunting. And humanity could not afford to be naive. The bridge fell silent as the Aurora approached the signal's origin. The stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to human struggles, but they had learned something important: humans were not prey. Not anymore. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The ship's sensors went haywire. The predator's presence, or something else, was interfering with their systems. Alarms blared again, and the crew gripped consoles, ready for the unknown. Leora's hand hovered over the comm. "All hands, brace. Unknown entity detected. Stay alert. We've faced impossible before, and we survived. We will survive again." Outside the viewport, the void seemed to ripple, a faint shimmer like a mirage. Shapes moved just beyond vision, impossible to define. Energy pulses flickered across the darkness. The humans knew, instinctively, that the apex predators were not done. They were learning. They were watching. And they would strike again. But humanity had learned too. They were not helpless. They adapted. They fought. They survived. And somewhere deep in every crew member's heart, a spark burned brighter than fear. The spark of defiance, the spark of hope, the spark that had always carried humans through impossible odds. Leora Kane stared into the void, eyes unwavering. We survived once. We will survive again. And next time, we strike first. The stars held their silence, but in the endless darkness, A new chapter had begun. Humanity had faced the apex of the galaxy, and the story was far from over. The Aurora drifted silently through the void, engines humming softly as the crew repaired damages and prepared for what was to come. Leora Kane stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic star map projected before her. Every blinking dot represented a human colony, a star system, a potential target, or ally. And somewhere among them lurked the apex predators, patient, intelligent, and deadly. "Captain," Lieutenant Ryan said, pointing to the map, "we've analyzed the last battle. We've recorded their attack patterns, their adaptive responses, their energy signatures. But there's something we don't understand. They anticipate, but they also hesitate. They respect strength." Leora's eyes narrowed. Respect strength. Or fear it? Ryan shrugged. Maybe both. But it means we have leverage. We can turn their intelligence against them. Leora leaned back, thinking. Humans had survived by luck, by courage, by improvisation. But luck was fragile. Courage alone wouldn't win the next fight. They needed strategy, planning, and preparation. "We train. Every crew member, every pilot, every engineer," she said firmly. "We train for combat, for survival, for tactics they cannot predict. We learn faster than they adapt. We strike smarter, faster, stronger." In the hangar, the pilots prepared their fighters, engines burning with energy. Mechanics patched and upgraded the ship's weapons, shields, and sensors. Scientists analyzed data from the Predator's energy pulses, trying to understand the source of its intelligence. Every detail mattered. Every lesson from the first encounter became a tool for survival. Meanwhile, the rescued crew shared what they knew about the Predator's behavior. They described its massive form, its tendrils of energy, its rapid adaptation. Each story, each memory, fed the human strategy. They began to see patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. A week passed in intense preparation. The crew trained tirelessly, running simulations and drills, refining their strategies. The Aurora became more than a ship, it became a weapon of knowledge, a fortress of human ingenuity. Then, a faint signal appeared on the sensors, almost imperceptible. It was distant, fragmented but intelligent. The apex predator, or perhaps another, was studying them. Its energy pulses flickered like heartbeat signals across the void. "Captain," Ryan said, voice tense. "They're back. They're watching us. They're learning faster than before." Leora's eyes blazed. "Good. Let them learn. Every move we make will teach them that humans are not prey. That every attack has a consequence. That every challenge has a price." The Aurora changed course, heading toward the edge of the Orion Belt. The crew knew the risks. They knew the Predators could strike at any moment. But they also knew something else. Humans thrived in the impossible. They survived when others would fall. They fought when hope seemed lost. As the ship approached the designated sector, sensors detected movement, shadows twisting and rippling in ways that defied physics. The apex predator, or perhaps a new kind, emerged. Massive, terrifying, its energy tendrils glowing with raw power. Its presence pressed against the ship like a living storm, bending the void around it. "You continue to survive," it rumbled, voice deep and resonant. "Clever, infuriating, amusing. Yet, the game is far from over." Leora's hand hovered over the comm. "We're not here to play your game," she said firmly. "We're here to survive. And to win." The battle began before weapons even fired. The Predator struck, massive tendrils slicing through space, energy pulses erupting around the ship. The Aurora dodged, twisted, and retaliated. Plasma cannons erupted in streams of blazing energy, striking with precision at points revealed by previous observations. The Predator flinched, adapting, but slower than before. Ryan's fingers flew over the controls. "Captain, it's responding to our patterns. But, it's slower this time. We're actually outmaneuvering it." Leora smiled grimly. "Good. Keep the pressure. Don't give it a chance to learn faster than us. Every strike, every move, every decision, it counts. In the hangar, fighters swarmed the Predator's tendrils, dodging energy strikes and firing concentrated plasma. Explosions rippled through the void, lighting the darkness with deadly brilliance. Humans fought with precision, courage, and innovation. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. And for the first time, the apex predator faltered. Its massive form twisted violently, tendrils snapping as humans exploited weaknesses it had never revealed. It roared, a sound that shook the ship and rattled every soul on board. But the humans pressed on, relentless, unstoppable, united. Leora's voice rang across the bridge. Hold nothing back. Show them humanity is not weak. Show them we are stronger than they ever imagined. The Aurora pressed forward, a spear of defiance in the endless dark, every pulse of energy, every tactic, every human heartbeat a declaration. Humanity had survived the apex, and it would not be stopped. The Aurora surged through the Orion belt, engines blazing as the crew readied for the battle ahead. Leora Kane stood on the bridge, her eyes locked on the distant shadow that twisted and shimmered in the void. The apex predator waited, intelligent and patient, but this time, humanity was ready. "Captain," Lieutenant Ryan said, tension in his voice, "our simulations show that the predator's adaptive response is slower now. It's expecting the patterns we used last time, but we've changed everything. Every move is unpredictable." Leora's eyes narrowed. "Good. Unpredictability is our greatest weapon. Every strike, every maneuver must teach it that humans are not to be underestimated." In the hangar, pilots tightened their harnesses, their ships humming with energy. Engineers finalized weapon calibrations, focusing plasma outputs on weak points the Predator had revealed in prior encounters. Scientists monitored energy signatures, calculating the exact moments when the Predator would be most vulnerable. Every human on the ship knew the stakes, every decision could mean survival or death. "Captain," Ryan continued, "the distress signals from the last battle have been triangulated. The Predator is defending something, or someone. It's territorial." Leora's jaw clenched. "Then we go for both. Rescue anyone in danger, and make it clear we will not be prey. Humanity strikes back." The first attack came without warning. Tendrils of energy lashed out from the darkness, tearing through the void toward the Aurora. The ship twisted and spun, shields flaring as plasma cannons fired in a brilliant arc. Fighters darted around the Predator, firing precise bursts that hit exposed energy nodes. The Predator roared, a sound that rattled bones and shook the bridge. "You persist," it thundered, its voice vibrating through the hull. "Foolish humans. You will break." Leora ignored it. "Focus on weak points. Hit every glowing segment we identified. Distract, divide, and strike." The crew worked with synchronized precision. Pilots wove through energy strikes, their small ships darting like comets. Plasma cannons erupted from the Aurora, each shot timed perfectly. Engineers adjusted shields on the fly, absorbing hits that would have destroyed lesser ships. Ryan's fingers flew over the controls. "Captain, its tendrils are slower this time. We're actually forcing it to react to us." "Good," Leora said, determination blazing in her eyes. "Keep pushing. Every second counts." In the midst of chaos, a squadron of human fighters broke through the Predator's defenses, heading toward a trapped human vessel caught in its energy field. Energy pulses struck around them, explosions lighting the void like deadly fireworks, but the pilots pressed on, refusing to retreat. Inside the stranded vessel, survivors clung to hope. They had watched the Aurora approach and realized humans were not helpless anymore. The same courage that fueled the crew now inspired them to survive. The Predator twisted violently, trying to adapt. Its tendrils lashed at fighters and the Aurora, but every movement was anticipated, countered, and turned against it. It had never faced humans who could think this fast, fight this smart, and adapt faster than its own intelligence. "Captain," Ryan said urgently, "its core, there's an opening. A direct strike could destabilize its energy matrix." Leora's eyes gleamed. Prepare the harpoons and concentrated plasma. This is the moment we end the hunt. The ship twisted sharply, releasing energy harpoons that latched onto the Predator's core. Plasma cannons fired simultaneously, striking in perfect synchronization. The Predator screamed, a deafening sound that shook the Aurora to its limits. Energy pulses exploded outward, tearing through its appendages, and for the first time, the massive being faltered. "Hold on," Leora shouted. "Don't let it recover." Fighters swarmed, striking at every weak point. Explosions rippled across the Predator's form. It thrashed violently, but its movements slowed, coordination faltering. The humans had turned the Predator's own intelligence against it. Inside the stranded vessel, survivors were freed, guided by pilots and crew, escaping into human ships. Relief and hope filled their hearts as they realized they had survived the impossible. The Predator let out one final, resonating roar before retreating into the void. It did not disappear. It withdrew, wounded, intelligent, and furious, leaving a message written not in words but in the void itself. Humans were dangerous, and the galaxy would remember them. Leora Kane exhaled slowly, gripping the console. "We did it," she said quietly. But her eyes remained on the stars. The victory was immense, but the war of survival in the universe was far from over. Around her, the crew celebrated silently, too exhausted to cheer loudly. They had survived against impossible odds. They had saved their people. And they had proven that humans were not prey. They were predators in their own right, clever, adaptable, and unbroken. The Aurora turned course back toward human space, engines blazing, survivors aboard, but every crew member knew the truth. The apex predators were still out there. They were learning. And next time, the humans would be ready, not just to survive, but to dominate. The Aurora glided through the stars, battered but unbroken. Smoke curled from the hull in small streams, alarms flickered intermittently, but the crew moved with quiet pride. They had survived the impossible. They had faced the apex predator, the hunters of the stars, and lived. Leora Kane stood on the bridge, hands gripping the railing, eyes scanning the void. The massive predator had retreated, disappearing into the darkness, but the lessons it had left were clear. Humanity was no longer prey. They were hunters in their own right, clever, resourceful, and unbroken. "Status report," Leora commanded. Lieutenant Ryan's fingers flew over the console. "All rescued survivors accounted for. Hull damage contained. Shields are stable. Predator is gone. For now. But sensors indicate lingering energy pulses, tracking us from a distance." Leora's eyes narrowed. "They're watching. Learning. Waiting." The crew exchanged tense looks. Even in victory, the memory of the Predator's power loomed large. It was unlike anything humans had ever faced, ancient, intelligent, and relentless. Yet, humanity had survived, and that was more than anyone had expected. In the hangar, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, repairing and upgrading ships. Every crew member contributed, driven by a shared truth. They had been tested by the apex of the galaxy, and they had not faltered. Humanity's resilience had shone brighter than any star. Ryan spoke again, quieter this time. "Captain, we learned something. The Predator didn't just attack us, it tested us. It expected us to break. But we didn't. We adapted faster than it predicted. That might be why it retreated." Leora smiled grimly. "Yes, it learned something too. And the universe will know that humanity does not back down. We survive. We fight. And we always rise." The rescued crew shared their stories, each tale highlighting human courage and ingenuity. They had seen fear, yes, but they had also seen determination and sacrifice. They had witnessed humans turn a hopeless situation into survival, and survival into victory. Outside the ship, the void seemed calm, but the stars held their secrets. The apex predator still lingered somewhere in the darkness, observing, waiting for another opportunity. But the humans had changed the rules. They were no longer easy targets. Every fleet, Every colony, every human settlement was now a symbol of resistance, a testament to human ingenuity and courage. In the communications room, a signal arrived from nearby human colonies. Messages of relief, gratitude, and renewed hope filled the console. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, but now they were stronger, united, and more prepared than ever. Leora turned to her crew. "We've survived the apex. We've faced the predators of the stars and proved that we will not be crushed. But our fight is not over. The galaxy is vast, full of threats we do not yet understand. And when the predators return, or when new ones emerge, we will be ready." The crew nodded, their eyes shining with determination. Every scar on the Aurora's hull, every burn mark, every dent was a reminder of what they had endured, and what they could overcome. Ryan looked at Leora, a hint of awe in his voice. "Captain, they will come back. And when they do..." Leora's gaze swept across the bridge, resting on each crew member. "When they come back, we will be waiting. And humanity will fight. Not because we have no fear, but because we are stronger than it. Because we adapt. Because we survive. And because we refuse to be prey." The Aurora turned toward human space, engines glowing like a river of light in the endless dark. Survivors were safe, the fleet was intact, and humanity had made its mark in the stars. The apex predator had learned a new truth: humans were not weak. They were persistent. They were clever. And they would not be underestimated. Somewhere in the vastness of space, the predator paused, energy pulses flickering. It had encountered a species unlike any it had ever faced. One that fought back with intelligence, courage, and unyielding spirit. And it had retreated, not defeated, but wary, respecting a force it had never expected. On the bridge of the Aurora, Leora Kane looked out at the stars, a quiet smile forming on her lips. Humanity had survived. Humanity had adapted. Humanity had won, for now. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but one truth remained clear. Wherever humans went, whatever predators they faced, they would not be prey. They would endure. They would fight. And they would rise to the challenge. In the darkness between stars, a new era had begun. The apex predators had met humans, and the humans had survived. The universe would remember this. Humanity had faced the apex of the galaxy, and had shown that even against the greatest hunters of the stars, they would always endure.